Man, finally we're getting some good news after what feels like months and months and months of basically only bad news for the Pi network. We're starting to actually see some pretty interesting and I would say positive developments for the Pi ecosystem. So I want to talk a little bit about that today. We are also going to be taking a look at Pi price as well today, and we're going to be going over the chart, all that type of good stuff. A little bit of some mixed news there. I would say some both good and bad news, kind of both going on as well. So we're going to be getting into all of that today. Let's actually start out with the good news coming from the Pi core team today, talking about the Pi ad network. And the Pi ad network is actually really interesting. We'll be going a little bit more into the details here about what this actually is specifically, but what we can see here is developers can apply it to join the Pi ad network now. The premise of the selection is to be listed in the Pi mainnet ecosystem interface and compliant with developer ecosystem guidelines. This platform level utility transforms the collective attention of Pi's millions of engaged pioneers into a tangible and sustainable mechanism for supporting the Pi apps in the ecosystem. So basically what they're saying is they're trying to get like some developers who are developing Pi apps on the network that are essentially looking to be involved with this ad network and essentially like help pilot this initial product that they're looking to push out. I think this could be very, very super crazy in terms of what this could do longer term for the Pi network. This, in my mind, is exactly kind of what the Pi network needs to execute on for their network to continue to accrue value and all that type of stuff. Again, we'll be going into the details here in a second. I want to do kind of like a good news sandwich, so we'll put the good news on kind of both ends of the video, and then we will start kind of moving back into price. So as we can see here, just on the day, we can see Pi only down, actually it's hidden behind my picture, we can see it's only down about 0.5%. The market overall being more green than red, a little bit mixed though. We can see obviously this is one that has had a cataclysmic collapse over the past couple of days, flare down a little bit as well, and then a couple here and there, kind of reds overall, but we can see more green than red for certain. Fartcoin leading the way up again here. This has been one that has performed very, very well over the past several weeks, which is kind of surprising. And then we're seeing a couple others here. Radium doing well, Story Protocol doing well, Caspa also coming around as well, which is good to see. So a lot of different things like that. If we do look at the pie chart specifically, we can see a couple of things that we've been talking about. Obviously, there was these weeks and weeks and weeks of basically just red only. We did start to see this bottom here. We actually did break this key level of support. After we broke this level of support, I did mention that we would kind of be in some unknown territory in terms of where we would eventually find levels of support here. It does look like this liquidation wick where we actually went all the way down to 40 cents and then came right on back up. If you guys remember me talking about this kind of in real time when this was happening, the RSI was majorly oversold. We were overextended out of the Bollinger Bands, and then obviously we saw a super strong wick up, and then obviously some consolidation here. This was just a massive wick for volume and volatility, and obviously of course it seems like we'd kind of start to find a bottom here, and then now we're starting to move back up. Now if we zoom in here pretty close, we will see what I am finding to be a little bit of a concern, which is this is or was a strong level of support, and so now it is turning into be what seems to be a decent level of resistance. Obviously we got rejected on this like major volatility wick, and then we've been rejected once, twice, 3 times, and potentially going on a fourth here. Obviously, we could potentially continue to make a move to the upside here, but if we don't, that's not necessarily a great sign. This is going to prove to be a pretty decent bit of resistance here at this about 77-cent range, and that could push us lower. And again, now whether we come back down and kind of establish some more support in this kind of like 50 to 55 cent range, it's possible. Do we go back down and find new lows below this 40-cent range? It's also possible, but when we do see a pretty strong level of rejection here, this does mean that there is a lot of profit taking going on, and the sellers are currently kind of outpacing the buyers in terms of demand here. So that's kind of what we're seeing here on the pie chart. Overall, though, I do think that this level of recovery here is looking better. If we do look kind of from bottom to top, we can see pretty decent appreciation in price, almost a 2x from bottom to top, about 95-ish% or close to, a little bit over that. So obviously, a pretty nice play if you had been buying the dip here when this did look a little bit overextended. It would have turned out to be a really great play overall. And of course, this could just be getting started. If we get above this, then of course we're going to be looking at about 98 cents maybe, and then about $1.13, and then from there probably about $1.30 is probably next after that. And then of course there's a pretty strong roadmap to get all the way back up to this $3 range. So obviously, we do kind of have the price history for us to go over there. But if you are interested in trading some of this Pi coin volatility, you can do so on leverage, you can do so on spot, all of that type of stuff. All of this is possible on BTCC. I do have that link in the description below. If you are wanting to trade some Pi coin, really, really great place to do so. They are doing a 10% bonus on your first time deposits. So awesome deal. It's basically guaranteed free money, and then they do have up to $10,055 in deposit bonuses if you're doing more like high volume trading and completing some of the tasks that they have for you in the new sign up screen as well. So lots of different ways to earn free money there. BTCC throwing a whole bunch of money at you. I do also have the links to Phemex and WEEX in the descriptions below as well. I don't believe that either of them trade Picoin currently, so if you're looking to trade Picoin specifically, BTCC would be the way to go. But Phemex is also doing their Easter trading competition, so if you're looking to trade other types of cryptos, could be a good option for you as well there. They are doing 50% essentially like guarantees and loss coverage, which is pretty cool. If you're looking to kind of dip your toes in and not really be exposed to too much risk, that's a great opportunity to do so. So anyway, moving along, I want to go in and essentially discuss in more detail what is going on specifically with this Pi ad network. I think part of some of the optimism around this is probably causing some of these green candles that we have been seeing. Of course, it is being met with some selling pressure overall, but I do think it's really important to kind of cover what exactly this is, because when you dive in deep to this could be a very, very pivotal type of product for the Pi network. And so I wanted to just discuss that in a little bit more detail. So here we can see the benefits for developers. The Pi ad network in the open network period enables Pi app developers to monetize Pioneer's attention that their apps are able to attract from the Pi platform through the Pi browser. So again, lots of pies in there, which is kind of funny. But basically building and maintaining meaningful apps, those that attract, retain, and serve the needs of pioneers requires time, talent, infrastructure, and ongoing operational resources. As the app usage grows, so do these costs that can be covered in their earnings from the Pi ad network. Essentially, they're just allowing apps to have some level of revenue generation tool, which of course is essential for any healthy and sustainable network. No project can operate at a loss forever. And so having this Pi ad network being implemented, essentially very, very similar to what we see on, kind of the app stores, either Google or Apple app stores. This is exactly, a similar type of thing. So much of what goes on is monetized via ads on these apps. A lot of kind of these freemium or, free to play, but, monetized through apps. A lot of that type of stuff is very, very common. And so to see that they're kind of switching this over onto the Pi network, I think makes total sense. They have kind of that attention economy right now. They're kind of grabbing hold of the attention that so many users are or I would say at least somewhat excited about, and they're looking to now monetize that, which I do think makes total sense. And that's going to be very, very important for building healthy and sustainable apps. Now, the thing that is also even more interesting here is we can see the Pi ad network solves this issue by allowing developers to earn directly in Pi in proportion to the real attention their apps generate across the platform. By requiring advertisers to acquire and spend Pi to access this attention, the network creates a full circle system. Developers are compensated in the very currency that their users hold and use, incentivizing app quality and development, ecosystem participation, and long-term innovation. In this way, the monetization issue becomes a utility opportunity, fueling a healthier app ecosystem and broader utility for Pi itself. So I think this is a really, really important piece to note here, because what we can see clear as day right here is they're actually looking to use Pi as the currency for the Pi network. Kind of obvious, right? Makes sense. But there are a lot of crypto projects in the past that have not done this. They've wanted to kind of be in US dollar denominated or some other currency denominated opportunities, which again really kind of undercuts the purpose of why do you even have a coin. And I think that kind of lays bare a lot of these types of projects in their true intentions of having a coin, and that's just to raise some money. Here with the Pi network, while money raising might be a motivation here, actually using it and integrating it as a currency within the ecosystem, it's very clear that that is a motivation here, and a very good motivation at that. So I think that's pretty good to see. We also can see here benefits for the pioneers is by requiring the use of Pi in transacting ads displayed in the ecosystem. The Pi ad network enforces that the access to the ecosystem attention resource relies on Pi cryptocurrency that every pioneer holds. This ensures that developers' benefits align with the benefits for the entire community. Again, I think this makes total sense. This to me is very, very well laid out, and I think that this could provide some pretty interesting things longer term for the Pi network. One of the things that I've been very clear about here on the channel is that I think Pi, of course, does have its issues, but one of the things that I think is actually fairly interesting to me about Pi is the kind of community behind it, the otherwise non-crypto native people who are involved with this whole project, the adoption that this has brought on kind of real time in a, we could call it maybe tangential space to the crypto ecosystem overall. A lot of people in the Pi network are not necessarily the same people that might have been kind of normal crypto people that you might normally expect. And so I think what we're seeing here is, given that they're essentially kind of finding ways to monetize and add kind of this flywheel into the Pi ecosystem, I think is super, super good news. And overall, I would say very, very bullish. And so overall, I think I'm very, very interested to see what happens here. I think earning directly in Pi, I think requiring advertisers to spend in Pi, do a lot of that type of stuff, I do think does actually provide some pretty good opportunity for the Pi network longer term to kind of capitalize on the social capital and the social credit that they already do have. So very interested to see how this plays out. Again, also, if we go back and take a look at the chart, definitely looking, risk reward looking pretty nice here. We've obviously seen a pretty brutal sell-off. We are starting to see a little bit of recovery in the chart here. So there is that possibility that this could potentially be a decent time to get in, where the risk is a little bit lower relatively to the reward, which is obviously going to be higher. Again, with projects like this, I cannot understate the amount of risk involved. There are so many things that could happen, some of them good, a lot of them very bad. So don't try and be overexposed to any particular project is kind of my opinion and how I run my own crypto investments personally. Now, again, this is not financial advice. You do need to make your own decisions. And of course, you need to be responsible for your own decisions. But in my opinion, I have just kind of a hard set rule that I don't really get over indexed into any particular investment, just because anything can happen and we just never know for sure what that might lead to. So anyway, hopefully you found the information in this video useful. If you did, a like and a subscribe really, really does help me out. Also, I do have that X account in the description below. If you are looking to, kind of follow me on X and hear some of my thoughts and feelings and things about the crypto markets is there as well, feel free to do that also. Also, if you have any comments, thoughts, feelings, anything like that, comment section is a great way to interact with me there. I do read and respond to all of those. So if you have anything that you want me to see, that'd be a great way to do so. So anyway, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.